We're on the doorstep of a huge sports weekend, including from the track, the diamond, the ice, everything. A huge hot mic. It starts now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to we got one more night edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL, good morning in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, and Inforum.com. Happy Hump Day, everybody. 28th day of May. Got a couple days left, then we're halfway through the year, everybody. Holy cow. Welcome to the show. The sun is out. It's a great sign to get ready for a rather busy next couple days. That's the best news we got. If we're going to have 6 tournaments in one weekend, let's at least have the weather work out. Looks like that's going to be the case. So sunscreen for everybody. Talking to you, Getzinger. Myself as well. Tomorrow, we will be live up at Therrelton Park, NDSU softball complex. We'll be doing the show there. Looking forward to that. Might be a bit toasty on the turf, but we'll make it work. Nothing will be hotter than Vegas last year, so anything after that is cool. But we'll be up there tomorrow to get you ready for the opening day of the Class B state softball tournament, because we'll be leading you right up to coverage of the Class B baseball tournament. That'll be on Extra tomorrow, right after Hot Mic wraps up. We'll have softball on WDAY 2, and then we'll be off and rolling for the next 3 days. We'll give you all the TV info you need on that coming up before we say goodbye here, because it is convoluted. There's a lot to get through, but we'll go through it, explain as best we can coming up later on in the show. I'm excited about our lineup today. We got a little bit of everything. We'll chat some ball like we always do. Chris Harris, Bison senior wide receiver, is going to join us later on in the show. I mentioned today, actually, the NCAA track regionals get underway, the West Regional, where they split it up, much like the actual meet, the national meet, which comes up in 2 weeks' time. The men will go today and Friday. The women go Thursday and Saturday. And on the women's side, for NDSU and UND, they've got 2 that could easily and likely are going to advance to the national meet. You're going to meet one of them coming up on our show later today. You met one last week, Ariane Birch from NDSU, Canadian. You'll meet another Canadian, this time from UND, that's got a chance to be heading to the national meet. We'll do that coming up later on in the show. But let's start with the Minnesota Twins, who are in the midst of their 3-city road trip. 2 of those stops are in minor league ballparks. Watching the game for a little bit last night, it felt like I was watching a game, honestly, at Newman Outdoor Field. Because, A, you could hear everything. You can, because it's not a big ballpark, that you can hear the players grunting. You can hear people chatting in the stands. A little bit of everything in the game. A little bit of everything from our guy, Cody Clemens, who apparently has turned into Barry Bonds since he's come to the Twins. Bombs a home run to center. Got into the camera well. Made it a 2-0 Minnesota lead. And then he makes this play in the outfield. Granted, Bonds was a great outfielder before all the steroid use. That is a fabulous catch out in right field that I don't know if anybody thought he could make a play on it off the bat. Ends up making a nice diving catch out in right field. He is demanding Rocco Baldelli to put him in the lineup every day, and he's producing. Dad was there and watched it. Joe Ryan, the starter who's been the Twins' ace so far this season, and he was again last night. A cool 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, more importantly, and struck out 5. He was dealing last night against this Rays. By the way, we got to talk about Tampa's uniforms after the highlights are done because I'm not sure what's going on there. Tampa trying to get back into this game. This base hit from Aranda to make it a 2-1 score. Then the Rays can't throw it around here. That's going to allow a run to come in to score as Ryan Jeffers is safe. That made it a 3-1 Minnesota lead off the bat of Brooks Lee. They would add to it. Ty France goes the other way with a base hit. That make it a 4-2 Minnesota lead in the top half of the 8th inning. Now, the Rays would make it interesting. They put a couple runners on in the 9th inning. Yohan Duran is in and gets this one at the warning track for the final out of the game. And the Twins go in and snap their 2-game losing streak. More importantly, they snapped Tampa's 6-game win streak. The Rays had won 6 in a row prior to last night's game. A 4-2 Minnesota win behind Ryan's great outing of 6 innings, 5 hits, and 5 strikeouts in the victory. Clemens, again, the hero both at the plate and in the field. Pretty workmanlike game last night thanks to a Rays error to get some insurance runs there late in the game. And Taj Bradley takes the loss, who went 7 innings, allowed 5 hits, struck out 6 for Tampa. Twins get back to 6 games over 500 in the process. Day game coming up today. It's a getaway day because the Twins have the longest flight you can have. Corey Provis talked to us about this last week, that they have to go from Tampa to Seattle, which they will do after the game today. Pablo Lopez will start the finale. Drew Rasmussen will be on the mound for the Rays. Is that the jerseys they were wearing yesterday? Are those City Connect jerseys? What are those? Granted, there's a throwback to what they used to wear, which is all right. I was not expecting that when I turned the television on last night when the game was going. So rubber game today. Twins will try to pick it up and then all-day travel to get out to Seattle for the opener with the Mariners coming up on Friday night. So
that is their City Connect jerseys.
I thought they were only going to wear them on Fridays. Isn't that the rule, I thought?
I don't know. I mean, it's Tampa. They're probably not home on Fridays anymore. But wearing black in the heat outside,
right?
That was a choice.
Yeah, that is exactly right. It's all but what was the game time temp yesterday? Let me get that quick because that seemed. Granted, I'm in favor. Indoor ballparks are not a fan of, but in Florida, it's probably mandatory. You got to do it. That's why this series was flipped. The Twins were originally going to go to Tampa over the 4th of July, and I want to say in early March, we got an announcement they were flipping this, that the Twins were going to go play in Tampa this weekend over Memorial Day, and then the Rays are coming to Target Field over the 4th of July because Tampa has front-loaded the schedule because knowing full well the weather turns. It was 89 degrees at first pitch. Ugh. And now they're going to Seattle where it's going to be 65 probably for every game. Granted, they have a roof, I know, in Seattle for that ballpark. Good win, though, last night. Joe Ryan keeps on trucking. The legend of Cody Clemens continues. Where would the Twins be without him? Who would have thought that at the start of the season? Couple other things before we get the show rolling. Last night, NBA playoffs rolled on. Game 4 in Indianapolis between the Pacers and the Knicks. The Knicks rallied from 20 down Sunday night. Great game to get back in the series. So it's 2-1 Indiana heading into last night's game. They brought out, the Knicks flew out all their stars. Well, I don't know if the Knicks did it, but they flew there. Spike Lee was there. Ben Stiller was there. Chalamet was there, trying to even the series up. More importantly, Halliburton's dad was back after he had been banned after the whole thing with Giannis in the first round, sitting in a suite last night. This was a dynamite game. Not as great as the other 3 games, but still pretty darn good. 6-point Indiana lead late in the third quarter. They get an and one there to go up by 8. Tyrese Halliburton was phenomenal. This was one of the all-time great performances in NBA playoff history last night. That is not a superlative that is not hyperbole. He was fantastic. He makes a three. They're up 10. Siakam drains a three. I think Pascal Siakam has been around for a bit. I don't know if fans are just waking up to how good a player he is. Knicks, though, as they have done, make a rally. Brunson miss. They get the rebound. Cat scores. Cut it down to 6. It's a 6-point lead. Again, Halliburton got whatever he wanted last night. Drive to the basket and score. Puts him up by 8. Aaron Nesmith, I thought he was hurt. Nesmith drives there, takes a huge shot. Everybody goes down. Watch again here. That is a heck of a collision. Cat involved. OG Anunoby involved in that. Off the inbound, step back 3. That was killer. Monster shot. Knocked down late in the game. I mean, Obi Toppin, how much has he killed the Knicks? Why can't the Knicks find players like him? That was the dagger. 130-121. Indiana wins. They go up 3-1 and can clinch their first trip. Oh, boy. I'm going to put my memory. First trip to the NBA Finals since 2000? Right? They haven't been back since. If they win tomorrow night. Obviously, we know the situation is in OKC tonight. That the Wolves have to win against the Thunder, or Oklahoma City is going to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2012 when they lost to Miami. We're staring at an OKC, Indiana NBA Finals, which I'm fine. That's fine. Let's go. Those teams have been really good. Can Indiana scare the Thunder? Am I writing off the Wolves? Kind of. The Wolves have, let's first start. The Thunder have only lost one home playoff game so far. That was to Denver, game 1 of the last round, because they swept out Memphis, and we saw what they've done to Minnesota. I would say since game 6 of the, I don't know, Denver beat this team 3 times. I can't figure it out. And I know the Wolves won by 40 in game 3. I'm still just shaking my head about what happened in Monday night's game. The fact that they couldn't get a stop. Everyone's hammering the fact that Ant only had 16. He had 2 shots in the first half. Look at what Halliburton did last night. McFeely and I were texted about this at the end of the game last night. Halliburton's stat line last night. This is what stars do. Halliburton had 32 points, had 12 rebounds, 15 assists, triple-double. More importantly, 0 turnovers. That's what stars do. And I'm not saying Ant's not a star, but he can't disappear like what happened in game number 4. Trent Tucker was on KFan yesterday. I listened to a little bit of this, a couple of great points that and I'll read one of these because I thought this was important to say. Basically, if you have 2 shots in the first quarter of the pivotal game of the series, I'm calling timeout and asking you why. Unless you're hurt or sick, that's unacceptable. Bam. There it is. Too often he was just sitting over on the wing. Just wait. Don't get it. I have a feeling you're going to see a possessed Ant tonight. I don't know if it's going to be enough for them to force a game 6. Sure, it'd be fun, but they're up against it.
It may not be enough, but what the NBA should do is call in their series extender ref, Scott Foster. So that way we can get the Timberwolves to win to go to game 6.
Don't get started on the officiating here. The officials had nothing to do with what happened in game 4. OKC was just better. Not great. We'll see. Coming up, game 5 tonight in OKC. Real quick, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, Edmonton beat Dallas last night. The Oilers now are up 3-1. We are staring at a Stanley Cup final rematch. We have not had that since 08-09. Penguins and the Red Wings played back-to-back years. Detroit won in 08. The Penguins won in 09. That 2009 series was phenomenal. Penguins won Game 7 on the road in Detroit. Sidney Crosby got his first Stanley Cup there. We, of course, remember last year, the Panthers won up 3-0. The Oilers won games 4, 5, and 6 to force a Game 7. And, of course, Florida won in Game 7. Eric, can you look this up? Who would have home ice? I don't know this. Maybe you know this off the top of your head. If it is Edmonton and Florida, the Panthers had home ice last year, but Edmonton had, I don't know if they had a better regular season or not, who would have home ice advantage. Carolina has to win again tonight. Okay, Edmonton had more points. Okay, the Oilers had more points, so the Oilers would host in the Stanley Cup final if that ends up being the case. Carolina stayed off elimination on Monday night. We'll see if they can make it 2-for-2. They're at home to see if they can extend this to a Game 6. Both networks would like this to go a little bit further. TNT, I think, every year that they've had hockey now has had either a sweep or a 5-game. They have not had a long conference final or a Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup final a couple years ago, Vegas beat Florida in 5. So sign me up. If it's Edmonton and Florida again, that was dynamite. They're the two best teams. We'll see what happens. We got a packed show coming up for you here on this Hump Day Wednesday. Our guy Drew Trafton will be along in a few minutes. We got a couple of college football things we want to chat with Drew about. The SEC meeting, spring meetings are going on. They're still trying to figure out how many teams they want in a playoff. That I don't want to get into. But they are talking about reforming and changing the portal window in football. That is important. We'll get to that coming up in just a few minutes. At 9:35, we'll welcome back to the show Fargo's Cole Hage, who plays for the University of Kentucky. The Wildcats season will continue. They sweated it out Monday in the selection show, but the Wildcats are heading to Clemson. We'll visit with Cole about his decision to play in the SEC. It was about a year ago. Cole came on, told us he was transferring, spending his last year from Columbia in the Ivy League to Kentucky. Ironically enough, Columbia made the NCAA baseball tournament as well. A lot of fun stuff with Cole coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Bison senior wide receiver Chris Harris will join us about the upcoming 2025 season, enjoying a little bit of time off, growing up in El Paso, Texas. How in the world he got to Fargo? It's a really neat conversation with Chris. We'll do that coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:15, you'll meet Jadyn Keeler from UND, Summit League champion in the 5,000 and the 10,000 meters. She'll be competing at the NCAA West Regional tomorrow. We'll get the lowdown on how in the world that became a sport for her to excel in and her chances of making it to the NCAA meet in a couple weeks' time. That's coming up in just a little bit. So a lot to get to here on a busy Wednesday. We're glad you're joining us. We're off and rolling here on a Hump Day Wednesday. Back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com.
The biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
Drew Trafton ready to get into the crosshairs of Twins fans because the Twins play the Mariners. Can you give us an update on how the old Mariners are doing in 2025?
Record-wise, they're almost identical to the Twins.
Okay.
I think they have one more win and maybe one more loss so far on the year. They're, oddly enough, the plight of the Mariners this year has been the health of their starting rotation, which is like, such a, it's just such a departure from what they've been dealing with, in recent years, and their hitting has actually been keeping them in, contention right now. So if they can get a couple guys back, George Kirby has been on the injury list, and Logan Gilbert has as well. If they could get those guys healthy and get those guys some good quality starts, they could be something. We'll see. Like I'm hesitant always as a Mariners fan to think that they can make the playoffs because. Yeah, I've only been burned on that about 16 times in the last 20 years. So I'm just kind of crossing my fingers that they can maybe stay, 10. If they can get to like 10 games above 500 at any point this year and just ride that, I'd be super happy about that. But they're doing okay. They're still finding themselves honestly, like the parallels to the Twins always kind of blow my mind with the Mariners. They're very similar teams. A lot of years recently, so I'm looking forward to a good series. I think the Twins are going to have to go up against Luis Castillo, game 1. It looks like,
That's their ace, correct?
That's
Seattle's
their
dude.
ace. Yeah. And you know, honestly, like I think if everyone was healthy, I'm not sure he would be.
Yeah.
Still, but he's super solid. So that might be a tough game for the Twins. You know, flying the way that they're flying, and you know,
the old Tampa to Seattle connection.
You know, just that little hop in the plane.
I understand they're professionals and they fly charter, so it's not like you and me. We have to, you know,
in baseball
go
they
through
fly
security
so
and all
much,
that.
but still,
that's a lot. Well, we make of that all the time when like the Seahawks go to Miami or the Seahawks go play the Bucs.
Yeah,
like that's a long ways to go.
Yeah,
so,
I mean it's like
I know they have a day
incredible.
off yesterday too, but 9:00 game on Friday, then 6:00 on Saturday. So you have to stay up late, and then a day game on Sunday.
Yeah, and then I think they match up again later in June in Minneapolis.
Target Field.
So we'll have a lot of each other.
Have you done that? Have you gone to see your team play?
So oddly enough, I've seen the Twins and Mariners play like 4 times in Seattle since living here.
But never at Target Field?
Not once have I gone to Target Field to see the Mariners play the Twins. Which I was thinking, I was looking at their schedule because it's always like it's always in the middle of the week. You know, so it's like it's so hard to get down there.
Yeah, Seattle's not necessarily a draw that, hey, let's get the Mariners on the weekend.
Yeah, right.
Know?
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that.
But they put the Cubs during the middle of the week. Like the Cubs will bring a ton of people this year. That's in the middle of July, in the middle of the week, which I don't get that. We could go down that road. Actually, I buried the lead on this because the Star Tribune put out a story yesterday that the Twins may have prospective owners now. There may be a new group that may want to come in and buy the team. So we'll say I want to say that for later in the show, but there's potential that they finally may actually get that.
With the valuation of these franchises now, I mean, it's
Glenn
such
Taylor found out the hard way on that. So
and it's such a short list of people who can actually pony up the money to do this.
Okay, so the SEC spring meetings are going on down in Destin, Florida, which is just hilarious to me that they like the NFL get their own spring meetings. There's no other conference that does that. But Kirby Smart, the head coach of Georgia, brought up something that perked my ears up yesterday. And he said, the biggest decision that has to be made in college football right now, by far, is when the portal window is, and is there one or two of them. Now, I reported this last week. The guy that runs the AFCA, you may have heard of him, is Craig Bohl, is the leader of the American Football Coaches Association, who has some sway on this and also has some understanding on how it affects the FCS on this, considering of his time, obviously, at North Dakota State. Said it's really hard to be playing in a championship setting and having to deal, this is smart, having to deal with that, which I laugh at, by the way.
Yeah.
But when I brought that up as a complaint or a problem, it was told to me, there's no crying from the yacht. If you want to play in these environments, you have to be willing to do that. Now, see, I understand that point of view because it's Georgia and they have whoever they want, but I think there's a fairness part of this, and it's certainly to what we cover here at FCS, is we've seen it firsthand. Montana's dealt with it. Certainly North Dakota State has dealt with it. UND's dealt with it. If the window is where it is now, the first week of December, we're in the second round of the FCS playoffs.
Yep.
Well, there is some momentum. And this is what Sam Pittman, the head coach of Arkansas, said. Said Pittman hasn't dealt with players transferring while trying to manage a championship run because Arkansas hasn't been good. But he has dealt with players leaving in search of more money after spring practice. He hopes to see one portal window in January.
Yeah, instead of April and December.
Correct. Now, that's the only sport that has two of them. Every other sport just has one window, and it's a month long. I think I would be in favor of it just being in January. I understand the one in April that, for guys that aren't moving up the depth chart.
Yeah, I'm going through spring
my lot
practice.
in life, I'm not going to be higher than third string. Maybe I want to move on. But that's not what we saw this past month.
Right.
What did we see? We saw, the halves saying, well, I need a linebacker.
Yep, so
I'm going to go get
poach guy.
I'm going to go get the best guy from South Dakota. I need a running back. I'll go get NDSU's best guy.
Yeah.
That's what we saw happening, and I can understand why, certainly in this division of football, we don't want any more of that.
Yeah. No, and I think also it's coming from the SEC.
Right.
Sure.
That's why it has some clout to me.
And exactly. And also it seems like every major decision now made in college football is going to be coming from this group involved in the settlement.
Yep.
And
from
people
the House
who sign in the settlement.
Yep.
And so, the fact that George is in on that, and then also that it's coming from the SEC, this message that we need to do this.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I would anticipate it's going to happen.
Because I look back, like Cole Wisniewski situation, Drew. Now, does he play? Does he play if the window isn't until January? That's a really interesting question. I don't know. There's some part of me that thinks maybe Cole was not going to play at all because he didn't want to re-injure himself. Mm-hmm. But if the portal window isn't until after the season, what's the harm? And, hey, you got to put something on tape to say, hey,
constantly bettering your stock,
Correct.
showing that you can perform in high-pressure situations.
I still think
from an FCS player standpoint, I think if you're looking to hit the portal and go, that makes sense to me.
I still think there may be the guy that has somebody chirping in their ear, hey, you know what? If you want to get maximum dollar, maybe it's best suit you to not play, which that was going to rankle some feathers in locker rooms, no doubt about it. But I think more often than not, I would hope that you're going to have guys still play in the FCS playoffs because that can better your situation going forward.
Yeah, and I think you're always going to end up in those situations where when you start hearing that chirping or, you're always going to have guys making business decisions. Always. Like no matter if it's one window, if it's two windows, like whatever that opportunity is, they're going to listen to their business interests. And I mean, I can't blame them.
And I understand they're worried about the big boy playoffs. They want to make sure all their guys are in because if the window is in the middle of December, well then that's going to affect the integrity of that. And I would say, hello, we've been dealing with this for 4 years. At this level, we've seen the best guys leave in the midst of the playoffs. It's happened time and time again.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, and thinking to the rival school to Montana State, when Chambers all of a sudden just like the playoffs rolled around and he was like, bye guys, like I'm out. And that resulted in the emergence of a Tommy Malott.
Correct.
And a great run for that program to the national
that was 2021. I remember that now.
But that was the starting quarterback for a contending school that made a run to the championship, had their starting quarterback
the week of the first playoff game.
Where I'm out of here.
Correct.
And so and it didn't really pay off for him in the long run.
No.
And that'll happen to a lot of these guys.
The Bison have dealt with that 2 of the last 3 years. 2022, Marquise Siegel.
Yeah.
Just DJ Hart leave before the playoffs begin. Obviously, Wisniewski's situation this past season. It's you shake your head at it, man. And it's now only because the big boys have had affected. Then we need change.
Now that we're going to talk about it.
Now we need to get it fixed. Which better late than never on it, man. But
we're always going to be
this,
organ donors, in that respect. So
I hope it happens because what we saw happen for those 9 days in April was not good for FCS football. You just saw the best guys get plucked.
And it's diluting the product unbelievably. I mean, like I look at South Dakota for crying out loud, and it's just like
South Dakota lost 5 guys that were all Americans.
And I mean, they were, I think, and may still be, but they were a consensus top 3 team in the FCS. And then now you look at a decimated squad or a squad that's like, well, what's there?
Right, and no one's going to cry over for the Bison, but them losing Marty Brown when they did that's tough. That's tough for teams to
totally.
Like, it's one thing if you were to leave in January. Okay, then we've got a month. We've got time to figure out how to replace him to get somebody in for spring football, and then move forward, or at least for fall camp. Losing April, man, you don't know what's out there.
And I mean, then you have, like you said, a bodies problem. Where it's like you're trying to build up this running back room. What's it going to be? It's really interesting, and I don't know how quickly how quickly they can take action on this, but it's just
if they want it to happen, they can make it happen today. I really believe
because
that.
It's the SEC, correct? And because it's this group,
correct?
That's really pulling all the levers.
I hope so. For this year, we have that for 25 that we know the portal window is going to open in January. Bam, done. They can make that happen soon. Before we go, I have to end with a fun piece of video. Have you ever run into a squirrel running right at you?
I haven't. I've had a friend though who's bitten by a squirrel.
Really?
Had to get like a rabies shot series. It was the most bizarre thing ever.
Well, that's funny you say that because yesterday in Detroit, one of the right on the field.
It's like a weird looking squirrel too. It's
one of the Tiger pitchers who's in the bullpen.
Yeah,
you'll see here, like this is like some zombie squirrel that's going to come at him.
It's like kind of mangy looking too. Like what is going on?
Like right here, watch
that squirrel. Looks like it like. Survives on like cigarette butts from the, from outside the stadium.
Comerica Park apparently is letting everybody get in these days, but
That squirrel knows its way around that park.
The slow-mo
That knew
replay
exactly
of
what
this
it was
is
doing.
fantastic because watch the Tigers pitcher here.
Yeah. Like he heard it coming, like the pitter patter. Like, what is that?
This is the best. This is the super slow-mo cam when he sees the squirrel coming up on a. Believe me, he's gonna get harassed about that forever.
Yeah, that is. I don't blame him though. That
You never know,
squirrel
man.
has seen some
Could
things.
be like the White Rabbit in Monty Python
It's
of the Holy
eating
Grail.
like peanut shells and like beer cups. Like that thing is
do whatever he can to survive. Right. Great to see you, bud.
Hey, thanks
and
for having
we'll
me.
talk to you next week, maybe with some bragging rights, how the Mariners fare against the Twins. Drew Trafton joins us each and every Wednesday at 9:20. We'll break. We come back. Fargo's Cole Hage will join us on playing baseball in the SEC. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a Wednesday morning. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wednesday morning show rolls on. Bison wide receiver Chris Harris going to join us in about 25 minutes. Looking forward to that. Jadyn Keeler from UND, great track runner, going to join us as well in our second hour. So we mentioned yesterday, and I know Sam talked about it on a Monday show, we now know the NCAA baseball selection for the bracket. Games begin on Friday in regionals around the country. You know, the Bison are heading to Arkansas, into SEC territory, to take on the Razorbacks Friday afternoon. Hopefully we're going to actually be able to talk to a couple of Bison before they get going on for Friday's show, because tomorrow we're going to be live up at softball. But one of the other neat local connections to the field, we got a couple. Obviously, Drew Rarick and Texas are in the tournament, and Kentucky made it into the tournament. And why we're talking about Kentucky baseball? Well, there's one reason. Fargo Davies Cole Hage plays for Kentucky. Not only plays, he leads the team in home runs and RBIs after transferring from Columbia. About this time last year, we had Cole on the show, and he announced he was going to transfer from Columbia to Kentucky to spend his final year of collegiate baseball. Boy, it's worked out in more ways than he could possibly have hoped for, which includes another trip to the postseason. It wasn't without sweating it out. Kentucky, we thought, heading in, was one of the last teams to potentially get an at-large berth. They got that and are playing into the field of 64. I spoke with Cole earlier this morning about sweating it out, about Selection Show Monday, and what that emotion was just a couple days ago.
Yeah, so we actually, we had no idea. We knew we were right on the bubble, which is funny because at the end we found out we weren't on the bubble. We weren't in the last four in. So we actually had a little more cushion. But, yeah, we got to the last regional that we possibly could have gone to, because the last two were SEC regionals, and I didn't even, I guess I've seen this as I've attuned to it in the last couple of years, but you can't go to an SEC regional if you're an SEC team. So the last two were SEC. Well, the Clemson one came up. We're like, well, this is the last one that we have a chance to go to. And so we were nervous. And Arizona State earlier, because D1 Baseball has this projection thing where they, the night before on YouTube, they were going through all of it, and they had Arizona State in ahead of us. And so when we saw Arizona State go, and then obviously we're the last regional, we were like, oh man, our season might be done here. And then we see Kentucky, and Kentucky, they posted the video of it, but it was just pure raw emotion. Yeah. Because obviously the suspense and everything, but obviously we almost thought that we were done with it. So it was pure joy finding out.
I mean, I watched the SEC tournament game last week when you're in Alabama. I mean, when you lose, are you coming off the field thinking this might be it?
Yes. And, obviously we didn't want to go out in that type of a loss. 5-1, we didn't play very well. I mean, we thought that we still have a lot more to show in our cards and everything. So I think our best baseball is still yet to play. And, yeah, we definitely did not want to end that way. So we're very excited to keep going.
Describe being back in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, you had some pretty good run with Columbia a couple of years ago. Now to do it all over again, what's the emotion on this?
I have a little different perspective on it a little bit too. So when I went with Columbia, amazing, super excited. But when you go against these giants at Columbia, it's a little more nerve-wracking. Every game is like the Super Bowl, it's good because you're focused and all that stuff, and it's super exciting and all that. And it's still super exciting from this perspective, we faced the best teams in the country already. So like going into this regional, it's just we just got to play our game and we know it works because we can beat any team in the country. So like we've beaten Texas, we've beaten like all these teams. So like when we see West Virginia, we know we're more than capable of beating them as our first game. And same with Clemson in our regional. We just got to go do it. If we play our game and play the way we know we can, good things are going to happen. And like that's where it's a little different than Columbia. But with Columbia, it was just, I mean, both are just as exciting and ecstatic. Anytime you can go to the tournament, I mean, it's like a dream come true growing up and watching it on TV. So
we spoke almost about a year ago when you made your decision. Describe how this has played out. I mean, looking stat wise and watching a few of the games, it looked like it's played out even better than you could have hoped. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, my goal was to kind of, with the increased competition level and everything that the SEC brought, and the schedule, just everything, because it's very demanding when it comes to mental and like the physical that it takes. And that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to test myself when I came here. And so my goal that I set out for this year was kind of to do the same thing that I did my last year at Columbia in terms of stats or whatever like that. And I think I did that. But the most important thing was to improve my execution and understanding of the game. And I think Coach Mingione and the staff and everyone at Kentucky has done a wonderful job with helping me improve in that aspect. So in that case, it's been unbelievable.
What was the welcome to the SEC moment? Was there one to say, okay, I've played Division I baseball, but this is a little different now?
Yeah. I guess seeing guys who throw 100 almost every single weekend, but I would say the welcome to the SEC wasn't even that. It was 3 weekends in. 3 weekends in when it's like, wow, like we have 10 total weekends of this where every single player that we see like on the mound as a pitcher or like hitter is gonna like just make you earn it. Like they're all tough. And if you get off the gas pedal for 1 second in any AB or like any pitch, because we always talk about one pitch at a time and you literally have to be focused every single pitch. Good things do not happen if you let up the gas pedal. So I guess being mentally resilient enough to go every single day, like we practice pretty much every single day. It's just a completely different feel than what I had at Columbia, because Columbia was much more, I also had to do a lot of the academics. They're more strict about the academic hours and stuff too. So yeah, that's been definitely the welcome to the SEC, just that schedule and the demand of it.
You feel like you have a better grasp to get ready for professional baseball, that this is going to springboard you for that there's opportunities now whenever this is done?
Yes, I think that the SEC is, I always hear that it's like high A or double A, anyways, level of arms and stuff that you see. So, I mean, that's part of the reason I chose to go to the SEC, to kind of test myself and determine, all right, like, do I have what it takes almost, even though like I've always thought I've had what it takes, but just kind of, okay, where do I need to improve? Where can I grow on the game? And yes, the SEC, I think, has done a wonderful job of preparing me for the next level and kind of bridging it. I think if I went directly from Columbia to pro ball, it would have been a lot more difficult to adjust to the game, and I wouldn't have learned valuable things that I did learn. So I think it was perfect the way that it worked out.
Have you got feedback already, Cole? That like I don't even talk agent like that sort of, or is that to come once ever the Kentucky season is done?
Yeah, I do have an agent, but I kind of told him that I just want to focus on the now and the moment, and that we can worry about that stuff when it's done. And if it's meant to be at draft time, or like if I have the ability to sign, then it's meant to be. If not, then like I appreciate the game and I've given it all I had, type of situation. But I definitely want to move forward and see what I can do. But either way, I'm going to be happy with my decision and move forward.
It was unique to see. Obviously, you guys got in. Columbia made it. The Bison got in. I mean, describe watching the selection show Monday and seeing 3 schools that are directly or indirectly tied to you.
Yeah, so I'll start with NDSU, I love that they got in. The last time they got in, I can't remember, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know if they went to Oregon or something, or it was around there, but I had a buddy on the team, a couple buddies, but like Zach Kluvers, I played with him growing up and everything. And, it's pretty cool to see, because I know he worked hard and everything like that. That happened, the opportunity that it brings for him, because this is truly a special time. And like Alex Erlob this year, I know he's on the team. Tommy Simon, he played in the post too.
Yeah.
And so there's guys on the team right now that I know are going to be able to experience this, that, everyone should be able to experience. And with seeing their reactions was awesome too, in their chairs. And then Columbia, seeing, I was obviously there 3 years ago, so I know exactly how that felt, and like what being in that room when your name popped up means, for a school that just doesn't have the facilities and everything that everyone else does. And really, I think what I love most about it, plays through each other and cares so much about like your teammates, and that's why they're good. And so like you saw, I don't know if you saw their reaction, but they were going crazy and freaking out. So that was another awesome thing for me to see, because I still talk to 4 of those guys every single week at least. I mean, honestly, probably 5 to 10 different guys, like, and more that I could. So those are my brothers too. But yeah, no, just seeing all 3 teams get in, it's truly awesome, especially since this is my last collegiate, year.
I know Coach Anderson made his way down. What did that mean to you when you guys during the season, to see him and to still have that connection to Fargo?
Yeah, so we played Texas, we played Drew that weekend, and they beat us 2-1 in the series. So hats off to Drew and them. But no, the fact that they came, they were planning it way back too. So like they were texting me, I think in like November, December, and so like it was so cool to see that, because I haven't seen Coach Anderson in like 5-6 years. And so, I mean, way too long. I wish I had seen him much more times than I have recently. I've seen Coach Gigstead at the gym actually a couple of times, so I've been able to catch up with him. But no, seeing them in Lexington and being able to catch up, and they brought their notepad. They said, yeah, we're going to try and, take some stuff from these games too. And like, I'm always happy to like give back to them too, but they're great guys. And I think that's, what I appreciate so much, and what I appreciate so much about Fargo too. I mean, everyone here who's met anyone who's come to any of these games has been, taken back by just how kind and everything that Fargo, citizens are. So
describe for guys in the South to say, well, there's ball players in Fargo. Have you had that conversation now on your own team this season?
Yeah, pretty much every single time. They don't even, I mean, there's seriously a good amount of people who don't know how to differentiate between North and South Dakota. They just kind of think it's one. So we do have one guy on the team who went to South Dakota State and played baseball. His name's Nick McKay. So he has a rivalry with NDSU. But yeah, most people don't think there is baseball really in North Dakota, which is fair, because, some years I remember in high school, like the ice on the ground and like the snow, we really didn't start till the end of April. So we got like a month and a half of baseball. Yeah. But yeah, no, pretty much. That, by the way, do you like the Mets? Is that a Mets?
I am a Mets fan.
I was a Mets fan for a little bit in New York City, and then I was like, you know what, I got to go back to the Twinkies, because it was hurting me to see the Yankees kind of.
Yeah. You're right in the heart of it. You were right in the heart of it. There's no doubt, for the last couple of years. Last thing before I let you go, and I really appreciate you doing this, just how to see this all play out. And it's been a long road, man, from when you left Fargo and Davies to now. Just if I would have told you this is how it's going to play out, not knowing a pandemic is obviously going to come in and you can't play ball for a year, just how would you describe what this experience has been like to play college baseball?
Amazing. I mean, there's so many words I could come up with. They're all great that would describe it. I would say the people that I've met through the game and the places I've been able to go are 2 of the biggest reasons why I appreciate it so much. Like all those guys at Columbia, those are guys that, they're going to be in my life forever. And, I've learned so much from them, and then the guys here at Kentucky and the staff that, the perspective it's brought me being able to live in so many different places, work with so many different people, and continue to grow at a game that is so difficult. Baseball is such a difficult game, especially when you get, higher and higher and higher. That's how it is for every single sport. But, it can be so frustrating at times, and it reveals your character through, your failures and successes, and how failures are way more often in baseball too, like when you're hitting. And so, yeah, the journey has been remarkable, and I've learned so much, and I've changed a lot in terms of how I play, how I think, and how I'm able to communicate with people than when I was at Davies as a, junior, senior. I say senior because a third of the year was kind of taken away from COVID, which we didn't get to play. Coach Manson and I still get mad because we didn't get to play in that state tournament, and we were.
I just talked about that a few months ago when it got the 5-year anniversary, because that semifinal night, man, would have been something else. That would have been you guys, Bismarck, Jamestown, Cheyenne. That was going to be unbelievable.
I know. We had Bismarck High, I believe, and they had that press.
Yes.
That press the entire time. So
yes.
I know I would have gotten pretty winded pretty quick, but I would have found a way. I would have dug something out of me to be able to keep on going. So, yeah, no, it's crazy to look back and fathom how long ago that was. Because I still feel sometimes like I just got out of high school, because obviously I just enjoy playing sports and, the ability to do what I do so much. And, I know that obviously now it's time to, either pro ball or let's get things moving to the next chapter.
Start life, right?
Right. But it definitely has been an unbelievable ride, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to do this.
Conversation I had this morning with Cole Hage from Fargo Davies and now Kentucky, as they'll open up the NCAA tournament coming up on Friday. Good stuff there. Appreciate him giving us a few minutes before they actually hit the road. We're overdue for our final break here. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour one. Chris Harris, Bison wide receiver, coming up in our second hour. Hot Mic rolls on a Hump Day Wednesday. We're back after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Good stuff there with Cole Hage. We'll start hour two when we come back. Bison senior wide receiver Chris Harris on the other side of the break. That's coming up when Hot Mic returns right after this.
This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour two, ready to rock and roll on this Wednesday morning. Sun's out. It's gonna be a beautiful day. Get out there. Big night tonight in our household. First night of T-ball. Finally, we got rained out last week, both days. So Jackman is ready for opening night of T-ball. So here we go. Can't promise highlights on the show tomorrow. We'll see. What are we now? Officially, countdown clock is on. I believe we're 94 days out from the Bison opener at the Citadel. My next guest probably doesn't need any reminder about that, considering summer workouts are already underway for North Dakota State football. Our next guest, one of the seniors on this team. Gosh, I'm old now that he's a senior. Chris Harris joins us, Bison senior wide receiver from El Paso, Texas, giving us a few minutes here today. So we were visiting off air. You got a whole 10 days off, and now it's back to the grind, huh?
Yep, right back in the swing of things. Right back at it. Kramer and Nab didn't rest a single day. They couldn't wait for this day.
Tell us about, because we had Cole on a couple weeks ago, and he got a chance. And obviously, describe getting the chance to go home. How anxious are you? Just sorry, school's done. This is the one time a year we get a chance to do this.
It's pretty good. It's pretty fun. Just to be able to go back home and see my mom and see all my friends that I haven't seen most of my friends since Thanksgiving. So seeing them for the first time in a while was really good. And then hanging out with my mom, obviously we just celebrated her birthday on the 19th. So I got to celebrate with her and a couple of her friends. So it's always fun to get back, but I like being here, surprisingly. Like a lot of guys won't say it, but I like being back here. I have a routine, I don't get lazy. I got something to do at all times. So I'm staying at home thinking I'm forgetting something, or I'm late to something, and I'm still back home. So
you like being busy.
Yeah, I really do. Yeah.
The experience of that, of moving far away. I mean, tell us about that, about knowing full well that you're not going to be a car ride from home. How difficult of an adjustment was that early on for you?
Honestly, not really. Considering my whole life, I've kind of been moving. I've had to move all the time and kind of adjust on the way. So I mean, I wanted to be kind of far away and learn to grow as a man by myself and be independent more. Obviously, I still got to rely on my family for a lot of things. College isn't cheap or anything, but I do my best to just try to be independent. And if I really need my family's help, I'll reach out to them. But I told them like, this is something I've done my entire life, so this is nothing new for me. I've had to make new friends and build new relationships with people, so it was a pretty easy adjustment for me, I feel.
I think some people may know your backstory. Your mom's in the armed services. Describe where, and that requires moving all. Where have you lived? Give us the lowdown on where you've spent your life.
Oh boy. So I was born in Germany, Hanau, Germany. I've lived in South Korea, New York, Washington State, Wisconsin, Texas, North Carolina. Um, I believe that's it. I think that's it. Yeah. And then now obviously North Dakota. So yeah, I've been all over.
To have that at the age you're at, that life experience, do you feel like you're older than some guys that are on your or even maybe people that are 10 years older than you?
Yeah, I've been told by my family I have a very old soul, and I don't think that's fully true, but I mean, whatever. But I've always kind of just been around my family and been around, like my grandfather was a huge part of my life, and being around him, it kind of matured me up a lot and showed me like you don't have to be this like big rah-rah guy. Like I feel like I've matured faster than others, and but I still like I think I'm still cool to hang out with some of my teammates. I mean, they haven't complained too much. So I think I have kind of matured a lot more, but I'm still a college kid at the end of the day. Like, I'm obviously on my last year, but I still try to embrace college and just enjoy being in college. Like obviously our schedules are packed with stuff, but I still try to find time to do what college kids do and just have fun and hang out with my friends and stuff. So
all right. So for people, I know this story, but I don't know if we haven't shared it this way. Give us the backstory when North Dakota State got into the realm of possibility to play college football. Tell us how that came about.
So it was my senior year. We had just finished up our last game, and I wasn't sure. I had an offer from UTEP, but I wasn't really like I wasn't too keen on going there, and I didn't want to stay close to home. Like I wanted, like I said, I wanted to be independent, and I had reached out. I'd emailed Coach Pauly and followed him on Twitter or something, and I didn't get anything for about a day, and then about 3 days later, I get a follow back in the email from him, and then a follow from Coach Roll and Coach Entz, and it all happened so fast. I was like, Coach, if you offer me like right now, I don't care if it's a walk on or a scholarship. Like I'm gonna commit. Like I want to be there. I knew guys like Cole Wisniewski and Seth Wilson and those guys. So
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, they seem to enjoy it and love it, and I was like, why not? I mean, it's the best program in the country. I mean, it's a great opportunity for me to showcase what I can do and come to a winning program.
So did that come like that day? Like when you talked to them, did they offer the walk on
Yeah.
after that?
Yeah, I had talked to Coach Entz briefly. I remember Coach Pauly FaceTimed me after they had offered me and I committed. Um, and handed the phone to Coach Roll, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy is very intense." And the first thing he said to me, like, "You can relax, like it's okay, like you can breathe." And I was like, "Okay." But yeah, meeting him for the first time on the phone, and then obviously meeting him in person he's him and Coach Pauly and Coach Entz, all those guys were like the best coaches I've ever been around. I'm really happy with the things that they've been doing, and just meeting them for the first time, it was a lot of stress and weight off my shoulders to be able to get that done and have a home to play at and continue to play college football and to continue to play football.
I talked with Bryce about this, Chris. I haven't asked you. Came in that Christian Watson was here, obviously his last year. What was that like to see that up close and say, okay, well, if I want to get to that level, how do I get there? Can you describe that when you first got here?
It was like insane. I've never seen someone as tall as him, as big as him, move that fast. I mean, we do our little conditioning in the summer, and he's 10 steps ahead of everyone, and it looks like he's jogging. But just seeing how he works, he wasn't the most like vocal leader, but he just led by example, and he was one of the hardest working dudes I've ever met. I mean, obviously it shows now. He's having a solid career in the NFL, but just seeing all the work he put in and just how he goes about his business, and from start of Monday all the way to game day, like his process through everything it was amazing just to see how focused he was and how like progressive he got in all his work and stuff. So
I asked that because the first 2 years you redshirted and then didn't play a whole lot. How was it frustrating? Was it difficult? Give me the first 2 years in Fargo, what that was like for you.
yeah, the first 2 years was definitely hard. First year, obviously, I had no real expectations. I just really wanted to get stronger and perfect my craft a little bit more. And then the second year, injuries happened during fall camp and stuff, and that kind of bumped me back. And it was really hard on me mentally, but like I had guys like Bryce and Finn and Cole and Owen and all those and Mackay and all those guys just constantly pushing me. And Jake Lippy at one point, like he would always take me under his wing and go catch jugs and just keep me positive and just kept pushing me. And it really drove me. I mean, looking back on it, it helped. Like I was going against the best defense in the country every day for scout team, and there were good days and there were some really bad days. But I think it's helped me a lot as a player and as far as a man, and just being more mature about stuff and trying to be a leader. There's going to be guys who go through the same thing, if not worse than me. So I just take my personal experiences and just kind of coach them up and tell them it's going to happen.
So after Coach Entz leaves and Polasek is hired, what was that interaction like for you initially when he got the job?
Obviously, everyone says it, Coach Polasek, I didn't know who Coach Polasek was. We were expecting Roll to get the job. And like I said, I've always had to adapt to new things. I've always had to move on the go and stuff. And, I kept an open mind, and Coach P really, got my attention early on, last February, not this back in 2023 or 2024. I had lost one of my good friends, and he was like one of the first guys to help me like get back home, and said if I need anything, like figuring out flights and stuff, and said take as much time as you need. And I was coming off of surgery as well, so just how like supportive he was with barely knowing me and barely seeing any film on me, and just embracing me as a player and understanding me as a person was like a big thing for me. Like you can do whatever you want as coach, but I like to see how you are as a person, and that's really what grew on me. So.
Last August during fall camp, you got put on scholarship. Describe that moment.
I mean, it still feels surreal. Like I had told guys this, like there's no way I'm going to get put on scholarship in the middle of fall camp. Like I haven't done anything to these new, like we had a bunch of new coaches. Like they haven't seen me play. They've just seen me start practicing. Like I haven't proven anything, and getting put on was one of the best feelings. But it's just like, I mean, I thank God for it every day, because I mean, I'm not able to do what I can do unless he blesses me the way he has. And the support that I've gotten from my teammates and my friends and my family and the coaches has just been amazing. And just finally get the recognition for that was huge for me. I mean, it was a big confidence booster going into that season, and I'm forever grateful for it. So.
What was that phone call to mom like?
She my eardrum almost burst when I told her. She screamed and started crying and stuff, and said, yeah, you're gonna have to break the news to everyone because I gotta go to practice. And then I got done practice and I had like 20 missed calls, and I'm like, all right, guys, I'm in fall camp right now. But yeah, that was a special moment for her, because she knew just how hard I had worked and all the effort that I had tried to put in, and all the effort that she had done. She didn't get to see my first 3 years of playing, and I knew she was going to be able to come see some games. So being put on scholarship, it was just a special year. Obviously, winning the championship, and she was there, but it was just special not just for me, but for my family and her. I've always wanted to make her proud and do everything I can to try to give back and to show like all the hard work that she put in for me. It's not unnoticed.
How gratifying then was it to have the year you had last year? Get out there, have the amount of catches you did, score a couple times. Just describe what 2024 meant to you.
It was awesome. I mean, you always dream when you come to college and a place like this, like, you hear the trophies and you hear the championships, but you want to have a role in that. And that was such a big piece to me. Like, I didn't want to just come here and just, be a guy on the team. Like, I wanted to have a significant role in this team and help us win no matter what. If it's 10 catches, 0 catches, if I got to block a D end or block a safety or whatever, whatever I can do to help the team win, that was so like amazing to me. And for the coaches to Crutchley and, Coach Landry and all those guys to trust in me to do those type of plays and make those type of plays. I mean, I was extremely honored and was willing to take it head on. So
I totally forgot. We're watching the highlight. The catch you made against South Dakota. I know the game didn't end the way you wanted. That over the shoulder. How difficult on the level, scale of 1 to 10? Where's that one at?
That one was probably like a 7. The lighting in that place is kind of crazy. So I'm running and I look up and I'm like, did he throw the ball? Like, I feel like I've been running for a while. And then suddenly I saw it last second. You kind of see me adjust to catch it. But I honestly thought I was going to score. And then I got tired and I was like, dang it. But, that was a really fun game. Obviously didn't end the way we wanted, but, that was a really fun game to be a part of. And, Cam put a lot of trust in me in that place. So, yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate him a lot. I love Cole to death. but Cam was the first guy to really give me an opportunity and stuff like that. So I owe a lot of credit to him.
You, I believe, roommates, or Cole Payton maybe better than most of us. Everybody on the outside, Chris, is wondering, well, can this guy throw? You're a wide receiver. Can you give us the lowdown on Cole Payton's arm?
Cole Payton can throw. I promise you. You guys have nothing to worry about. Cole Payton can throw it better than a lot of people. I've been roommates with him for almost 4 years now, and he's just progressively gotten better. I mean, I've never seen someone with the work ethic like him. I'm surprised he's not here right now, but he's here from sun up to sundown, just working and perfecting his craft. And he's always like, "Hey, you want to go throw?" Some days I'm like, I kind of want to relax, but he's always looking for a way to get better, whether that's throwing or stretching or whatever. He's one of the hardest working dudes. So yes, like I promise you, that dude could throw a ball. I'm telling you right now.
Before I let you go, wide receivers, man, are stacked. Obviously, yourself back, Bryce is back, Makai's back, Jackson Williams was pretty darn good last year. I know I'm going to give somebody out. I love Johnny Gores is my guy. What is it about wide receivers, man, where everybody's used to NDSU running the ball? You got some dudes at wide receiver, yourself included.
I mean, it's a lot of credit to the coaches. They trust in us to make a lot of plays, and we believe we're the best playmakers on the field at all times. And we believe that if we need a spark, we're the group to get it done. And it starts just from the seniors, us seniors, all the way down. We trickle it down to all the younger guys. I mean, Raj is coming back, and this is his 6th year. His energy is unlike no other, and him and Zay are kind of similar with their energy wise. So them being together really creates like a big uplift. If we're down in our room, we got one of those guys. We got me, Bryce. A lot of us are pretty vocal, but most of the time we like to lead by example. And we're so confident that if there's a ball in the air, like it's ours. There's no way we're not coming down with it. So that's kind of just the mindset it's been for spring ball, and the constant mindset that's been for every season. And we're going to continue to hopefully carry that along. So,
by the way, Isaiah St. Romain was awesome. What do we in spring? What do we not know about him?
I don't want to give too much, but just be ready for him to make a lot of plays.
Okay.
His confidence is growing. He says he's feeling faster. So we're gonna see. I still think I got him a little bit, but like I said, his energy is second to none. I mean, he's always got a smile on his face. He's always in a good mood, and that just transpires on the field. Like he's just high energy, ready to go at all times. He's not afraid of competition. Like he's physical. Like I'm really excited to see the things he does this year.
Raj has been the leader of the yellow on yellow. You got to see it during the spring. What do we think? Is that going to happen this year or what?
Yeah, I think he's rehabbing really well. He's coming back stronger. I'm excited. He says he can still go right now. I was like, all right, let's be easy. We got to get you to fall camp and stuff. But yeah, he's feeling good. He's the lead by example type of guy too. So he's excited to be back. We're excited to have him back, and we're ready to get at this thing again and go get another one.
It's great to see you, man. Thanks so much for the time. I know summer's already over for you, so I hope you enjoyed your little time off. But we'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes. Chris Harris, Bison senior wide receiver, joining us this morning from El Paso, Texas, after his breakthrough year. A couple touchdowns last year. 29 receptions as well for the Bison in 2024, part of a loaded wide receiver room. We'll break. We come back. UND standout on the track. Jadyn Keeler will join us about getting ready for the NCAA regionals that start tomorrow in Texas. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a busy Wednesday. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Our busy Wednesday show rolls on. Mentioned starting today, the NCAA track regionals get underway. One in Jacksonville, the others in College Station at Texas A&M. We know North Dakota State will be well represented, as will the University of North Dakota, who had a dynamite run at the, no pun intended, at the Summit League Track Championships a couple weeks ago. We featured our next guest on our Best of the Weekend, considering what she did at the Summit League Track Championships, and she's hoping to do it again this coming weekend, starting tomorrow at the West Regional. Jadyn Keeler joins us from UND's track and cross-country team this morning, already in College Station to get ready for, as she told me off air, for the Texas heat. So let me ask you, how hot is it so far when you guys have been down there?
It's been well in the 90 degrees, so pretty toasty.
All right, so are you one of those that like to run in the heat, or is this like, this is not great?
Not typically great for me. I don't have a great track record of races that are extremely hot, but I have been trying to prepare for this by doing some heat training to acclimate in practice. So I think I've come as prepared as I can be.
I was going to say, a couple weeks ago, we had about 95 in North Dakota. Were you out like running all the time then a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, definitely. I was trying to use those days to my advantage. That was pretty easy.
All right. So for normal human like myself, 5,000, 10,000 meters, no way. Why was this? You know, you do run cross country as well, but why the distance races? Did that fit you?
Honestly, I think it was just a matter of trying all the races out. And I found that the longer the distance, the better I usually performed against everyone. So I kind of realized that the 5K, 10K is my sweet spot for distance racing. And honestly, I really enjoy those events. I kind of like just hopping on the train of people and just running lap after lap. So it's fun.
Okay, I can just call you crazy because that sounds nuts to me. But so how much of it is a mental challenge? Obviously, there's the physical one, but when you're just out there and running constantly, how much is that a mental deal?
Oh, for sure. Especially the 10K.
Yeah.
I think it's just as much mental as physical because with 25 laps, it's pretty easy to get into your head at some point. And, you know, your brain typically starts to quit before your body does. So if you can stay mentally tough, that's kind of the key to the 10K.
All right, take me back a couple weeks ago in Vermilion. To have that kind of performance at that time, was that exceeding your expectations or what you expected to do to go down to the Summit League Track Championships and do the double?
I would say it met expectations. Definitely was trying to kind of have a similar result as I did indoors, completing the Triple Crown. You know, the goal at conference meets is always for me to go out and score as many points as I can for my team. And I was able to walk away with 28 points. So I would consider that a successful weekend.
When you're in a race like this, like it's not a, you know, the short races where, you know, okay, you got to be like at 100, you got to be good to go. When do you know I'm running a good race in these distance races?
Yeah, so for distance races, if you're on a personal best pace, usually you're trying to split even splits throughout the race. So in that way, you would know you're on a personal best pace. Like I know pretty much every lap I have to hit to be running my fastest time ever. But at conference, it was more about placement. You know, obviously you want to place first to score 10 points. So that's more about strategy and just knowing when to go. And I think just with all the track experience I have, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm able to gauge just based on how the race is going, when I need to go and when's the best time to make the right moves.
UND women had their best conference meet in 6 years. You were a huge part of that. Describe of leaving Vermilion and having such a big part of UND's success.
Yeah, it means so much to me. Like seeing the trajectory of our program, like where I started as a freshman to where we are now, it's been insane to see the improvement of everyone on the team. And I'm just so glad I get to be a part of that.
All right. Humble brag here. You were the track championship MVP. Where's the trophy at? What did you do with that?
It's at my apartment right now. It's on a little like coffee table in the middle.
So everybody has to see it when they come in?
I guess so, yeah. It's not that big of an apartment, so I don't know. Tell for it.
You got to find like a man. You don't have a mantle. You got to get a mantle for something to put that on, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe next.
To now have that and now get ready for what's ahead for tomorrow and then Saturday. Obviously, the goal is to get to the NCAA championships in a couple weeks. What does it take to do that? Again, going back, is it more mental than physical for the next couple days?
Yeah, I would say it's a bit of both for sure. Obviously, to qualify, you need to be top 12 out of the 48 runners competing. So got to be in that top quarter. But I think going in, I feel confident in my abilities based on how the season's been going to do that and to get the job done. But that's the thing. It's a matter of getting it done on the day because there's no redos. It doesn't matter what you ran the previous races. It all comes down to this one race. So you got to be prepared for that and ready to go. Okay, you're ranked 6th nationally in the 10,000. So is that do you prefer that one over the 5? I would say so, yeah. Is it what's the reason for that? Just because it's longer distance? Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, I've actually only ran, I guess, 2 10Ks now. The second one was at conference. So I don't have that much experience with it, but I just really enjoyed it. Yeah.
So is that basically the mentality for the 10K? Just, all right, I'm going to go out there, see what I can do, and if hopefully it'll be fast enough to make the NCAAs?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm going to try to stick with that front pack and just, follow them for 25 laps, and hopefully I can get in that top 12 to qualify.
So each of these races are at night, which thank goodness considering where you're at. But that means a lot of sitting around time. What do you do tomorrow to not think about this for 12, 13 straight hours?
We brought some games. We brought Uno, so hopefully we can get Uno. But yeah, it's pretty much race days are pretty boring. Honestly, you just have to wait around and try to distract yourself as much as possible.
Does anybody false start in this race? I know in the quick the quick races there. Does this ever happen in the long distance races?
Typically, no. Although sometimes you do get called back if your foot's on the line or something. So I have seen it happen before.
Okay. You've done this. You've done the steeplechase as well, correct?
Yes.
Tell us what that, for, again, mere mortals out there, of running and then hurtling over a pit of water. Why would anybody do that?
Yeah, that one, I don't even really know how I got into that. I think back in high school, it was one of the longer events available to us because we didn't even have the 5K back in high school in Canada. So the 3K steeple was or the 2K steeple at the time. It was one of the longer ones that I was able to do. So I kind of just decided why not hurdle as well and, see how that goes.
It's a nice segue there. I appreciate that, bringing up your background. How in the world did you get from Barrie, Ontario to Grand Forks, North Dakota?
Yeah, so back in high school, after I started having some pretty good seasons, I kind of discovered the NCAA and Division I, and I always wanted to just compete at the highest level possible and challenge myself the most. And I knew that NCAA Division I was the place to do that. So I kind of started the recruiting process and was reaching out to coaches. And ultimately, UND was just the place that was the best fit for me. It was a little tough at the time because it was COVID. Yeah. So the border was closed between the US and Canada. So I couldn't even come to visit any schools. So I was making my decision entirely online, just based on photos and Zoom calls. But I had some Zoom calls with the team, and they were all really nice people. So it just seemed like the best place for me all around.
So you came here sight unseen?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was your first? So when did you first get to Grand Forks, and then what was your initial reaction when you got here?
So we drove to Grand Forks. I guess the first time I got there was just a couple days before school started.
Wow.
Yeah. My first reaction to North Dakota was wow, it's pretty flat here. It was way flatter than I expected. I honestly couldn't believe it, but the school, the campus was awesome. It was everything I imagined it to be. Great facilities, great coaching staff, great teammates. So UND was awesome.
Now, the obvious question growing up, was hockey ever a passion of yours, or no? This has always been, running has been my thing.
No, hockey definitely has been. Well, I was actually a figure skater for 10 years,
Wow.
but I also played hockey as well. So, and I definitely follow up with the NHL and my team back home.
What's your NHL team? Is it the Maple Leafs or somebody else?
Yeah, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up. I know that didn't end. That didn't end the way you wanted on that. How much has figure skating helped in running? The endurance part of that. I have to imagine that those go hand in hand, right?
Well, I'd say figure skating, it's actually probably more of an anaerobic sport, kind of.
Okay.
So, at least the practices are. So I would say in terms of physical strength, they're a bit different, but I would say mental strength and stuff, I've definitely just gained a lot of attributes from that, being a hard worker, dedication.
Yeah.
I learned that stuff really early on, which has helped me in my running career for sure.
This has been awesome. I really appreciate you doing this, especially the day before the race. Before I let you go, expectations for you for this weekend. Obviously, you want to keep racing to keep your career going. What do you have in mind? Okay, if I run, do you have a certain time that if I do this, I'm going to keep running on?
Time-wise, I would obviously love to run a personal best, but tomorrow the focus is just on getting one of those top 12 spots to qualify, because time doesn't really matter when it comes down to it. The race could start off a little slower, a little more tactical, so a personal best isn't always in the bag for a race like tomorrow. It's just about getting in that top 12 so I can make it to Eugene in 2 weeks.
How badly you want to be there at Tracktown?
really badly.
Yeah.
After getting a taste of that at indoors, I really want to go to Eugene.
I really appreciate this, Jadyn. Thanks so much for this. Good luck tomorrow. Try and stay cool, and good luck, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Jadyn Keeler joining us, UND track standout, 5,000 and 10,000 meter champion in the Summit League, and she's going to be racing tomorrow. And this will be something we'll be keeping our eyes on here for the next couple of days. So the West Regional gets going today. The men have competition today. The women go tomorrow. The 10,000 meters is the final event of the day. It goes at 9:10. Good reason why, considering they'll be running 25 laps in 90-degree heat. And then she'll be racing again in the 5,000, and that will come at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. And we'll keep you abreast of everything. Obviously, we mentioned we had Ariane Birch on the show last week, who's contending to win in the high jump. She'll compete in that. That's the final event on the women's side in the field on 3:30 on Saturday. So on top of everything else, what's going on this weekend, which we're going to elaborate in our next segment, we got this going on too. Be fun to watch. And congrats to her. That was fun to get to meet her. We'll take our next break. We come back. All right, we'll give you the lowdown. We got 6 tournaments going on. We're televising all of them. We'll break it down when Hot Mike returns on a Wednesday morning. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. That's a fun couple of back-to-back guests we had there. Good stuff. The spanning the gamut there between football and track. A couple of emails came in, and then we'll get to what we got coming up over the next couple days. One goes on asking, going back to Chris Harris' comment about the Bison incoming transfers, when they have arrived. When do they arrive? Some are already here. I know Alex Elliott is here. Obald Nyankuru, the transfer from Iowa State, is here. I know those two guys are. Antoine Booth, who you met, gosh, was that last week or 2 weeks ago now? 2 weeks ago from James Madison, not here yet. A couple of their guys, Cortez LeGrant, not here yet. But all in told, I believe it's 9 guys that Bison have added onto the roster. It's a different-looking group. It's going to be intriguing to watch. We'll try and catch up with some of them here throughout the summer months. Before we know it, we're going to be back at fall camp here by the middle or end of July when things get going there. Other email comes in. Dom, did you see the Bison are talking to the NAIA's leading score from last season? I did not. The Portal Report from, which is a famous Twitter account that follows all sorts of movement, tweeted this out, that the NAIA's leading scorer, Charlie Yoder, is available. Yoder averaged 24.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists per game on 37% shooting from three-point range. He has received interest from North Dakota State, Western Michigan, and Southern Miss. Yoder is a Indiana native who spent the first 2 years of his career at the University of the Incarnate Word. So he already has some Division I time. The last 2 years, I'm not making this school up, folks. He spent at the New College of Florida. It's an NAIA school, as you know. Their nickname is the Mighty Banyans, which is a tree. I found that out. Yes, you can look that up, everybody. Eric, you can look that up and show everyone the logo of it. It's fantastic. Point being, NAIA guy who can score. Now, we had Dave in here a week ago today, knowing full well the roster is not completed yet. And I think some would be like, wow, can we get a couple more bigs on the roster, knowing that they have Feddersen, they have Trayson Anderson, who have some good height. Yoder's another guard. But if they're looking for, and Dave said this, looking for guys to shoot, looking for guys to defend, maybe this is another piece of that. Again, just because they're showing interest doesn't mean they've gone down the road of we're talking and all that. But that goes to the point of what we were talking about last week of looking at guys coming from that level to come up to the Summit League. Not necessarily looking for drop-down guys, because that's a topic I know we're going to spend time on this summer, about the amount of players that have come down from FBS or Power 4 schools, can they be impact guys? Maybe. I mean, there are not many Oscar Cloughs growing on trees out there. But if you're a Summit League school, you're looking at that level. You're looking at Division II. We're looking at junior college. We're looking at NAIA. Can we get those good players to come to us for a year? Maybe this is that guy. Eric found it. This is the Mighty Banyans logo. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We don't get many of those around here. I like that one. That's fantastic. Good stuff. We'll see on Charlie Yoder and what interested him there. He is not related. I know you were going to ask that. There's no relation to former Bison guard Luke Yoder, who was on the team a couple of years ago. Okay, so tomorrow it begins. 6 state tournaments, all on the eastern side of the state. I can't remember the last time we've had that for the spring tournament season in North Dakota, where all of them are on this side of the state. Soccer begins tomorrow in West Fargo. The Class A baseball and softball tournaments will be held in Grand Forks. I know they're excited about that. Kraft Field getting a chance to host for baseball. The brand new Albrecht Stadium on UND's campus will host softball. Class B baseball returns to Newman Outdoor Field. They have really enjoyed playing there at Newman. Class B softball will be held at the Theraldson Complex on North Dakota State's campus. And then tennis returns to Grand Forks as well. We have coverage of all the tournaments over the next 3 days. This is as impressive as last week was with track. I think we may top it considering how we're going to be spread out and how much we're going to be spread out over the next couple of days. So let's go through a little bit here for people to understand where they can watch things. We'll start with Class A baseball and softball. So as I mentioned, those are going to be in Grand Forks. You can watch Class A baseball starting tomorrow. They get going at 11:30. All those games are available on WDAY Plus. I believe I have a graphic for that. Everything on WDAY Plus for that. Softball will also be available on WDAY Plus. Those games begin tomorrow at 11 a.m. from Albrecht. So if you haven't got the Plus app yet, and I can't imagine if you're a parent and don't have it throughout the high school season, now's the time. You can do that and sign up for it. So baseball and softball Class A, everything will be on Plus tomorrow and Friday. Championship Saturday will have everything for you on WDAY Extra right here. The baseball championship will go at noon for Class A up in Grand Forks. And that's the Class A state baseball championship will go at 2 on Extra. Again, you can stream everything as you want because if you're traveling, got holidays started, we got summer vacation started, all that stuff, you can still easily stream it from your phone, which is pretty cool. Now, here in Fargo, we will have softball and baseball beginning. The Class B baseball tournament begins tomorrow at Newman Outdoor Field. We will lead you right up to that here on Hot Mic because the first pitch from the baseball tournament will be at 11:30 tomorrow on Extra. You'll see all 4 quarterfinals tomorrow right here on WDAY Extra. It'll be a long day at the ballpark, but you're not going to miss a pitch. Everything from baseball will be on television starting tomorrow. The first game at 11:30 with Mandan I'm looking at A here. Sorry about that. I believe our friends from Renville County made it back. The Muskrats was my all-time favorite nickname. Yeah, Thompson and Renville County start things at 11:30. And then culminate with a championship game in prime time, 7 o'clock on Saturday night. Everything on Extra. Softball from NDSU will be on WDAY 2 tomorrow, so make sure you check your listings for that. That's labeled True Crime on a lot of channel listings on different cable outlets. I think Midco is $5.94, if I remember right. We'll be on tomorrow at 11 a.m. with all 4 games. The semifinals will be Friday at 4, and then the championship game right in the heart of the afternoon at 4:30 on Saturday. So we will have championship after championship on Saturday. Softball, baseball, softball, baseball. Also, soccer is going on in West Fargo as well. Don't forget, that's still happening. The girls' state championship we played this year. I don't know if it's ever been at Cheyenne before. I can't remember, but that's where it'll be contested here starting tomorrow. You can stream all the games out there beginning at noon tomorrow. Eric, don't forget your sunscreen, man. He's going to be out there. He's running from Hot Mike to go out there, and he'll be manning the camera out at Cheyenne and have those games for you all day tomorrow, noon, 2:15, 4:30, 6:45. Semifinals are at 4:30 on Friday, and then the championship game at 3:30 Saturday afternoon. That's on WDAY 2. So there's a lot to take in there. Point being, if you want to watch anything, you can. Everything is streamed. Television-wise, we'll bring you Class B baseball, Class B softball for the first 2 days, Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday, all of the championship games will be televised. That hasn't happened before. Just hasn't. Some years they've had one of the championship games be televised, one of the sports be televised. They haven't had all of them. We're doing that. Yeah, I'm going to brag about that. That's going to be pretty cool. And don't forget tennis as well. Now, we don't have coverage on Thursday. The team championships, nothing there. Friday for the first round. But Saturday for the individual, the singles and the doubles, we will bring you those finals as well from Grand Forks. So that's everything wrapped into one. We'll try and explain it as best we can over the next couple days. Looking forward to it. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Get you ready. Can the Wolves season keep going? Get you ready for that. Much more. Hot Mike Wraps right after this. All right, wrapping things up here for a Wednesday. Tomorrow, reminder, we're going to be live up at NDSU Softball Complex to get ready for the opening day of the Class B tournaments here in town for baseball and softball. We'll preview that in full coming up on the show tomorrow. I mentioned this briefly when Drew was on. The story that came out from the Star Tribune yesterday, that highlight and the headline goes, Twins ownership update, prospective buyers tour the ballpark and meet with executives. The Pohlad family is selling the team with $1.5 billion set to be the sale price. Potential buyer Justin Ishbia focused on the White Sox instead. But in the story, it says that they've given tours, that they have met with executives. I don't know if you go that far down the road unless you think there might be a potential agreement or at least getting to discuss about buying the team. This is the perfect quote of the story. Business people don't take a couple days out of their schedule to fly somewhere and meet with executives if they aren't serious about their interest, a source said. The Pohlads can indeed change their mind and decline to sell, but discussions about the team and the sale are happening on a daily basis. Of course, they wanted this done before the season began. Doesn't that sound familiar? They wanted it done before they wanted the TV deal done too, right? We'll see. At this point now, you'd hopefully be done by the playoff start, that maybe the new ownership group. And again, you don't know if they're going to be any better than the Pohlads, but you can hope you can have that same kind of energy infused in that the Wolves got with A-Rod and Mark Laurie buying the team. That surrounded it. That there was just a different level of excitement around the franchise. We'll see. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. What to Watch is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Okay, tonight, Wolves got to win or it's over. Game number 5, Thunder Wolves, 7:30 tonight on ESPN. Twins go for a series win against the Rays. It's a matinee, noon first pitch on Twins.tv. And we got Game 5 tonight, Panthers and the Hurricanes, 7 o'clock on TNT. Carolina wins. We got a Game 6. Florida wins. They win the Prince of Wales Trophy, and they go to the Stanley Cup Final for the 3rd year in a row. We'll recap everything on that coming up on the show tomorrow. We got to roll. Busy show today. Our thanks to Cole Hage, to Drew Trafton, to Jadyn Keeler, and Chris Harris. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com or watch a full replay on WDAY+. Give us one more, Minnesota. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy the warm weather, and we'll see you back here tomorrow on Hot Mike. Thanks for watching.